先方は確かに不思議。けれど法を治める前に心を治めなければ、すべては水面に映る月のごとく、触れた瞬間に砕け散ってしまう。
資料室にはそういえば可愛い子ちゃん。資料室には大団長のチェック。そういえば可愛い子ちゃんたち。冒険者
遠征もようやく。
大団長の手紙によると、前に私たちが送った花子おじさんが帰ってくるわ。
栄誉騎士、まだ出発していなかったのか？いや。
でもファルカがもうすぐ帰ってくるんだろ？
ああ、君たちとローエンの話を聞く限り、遠征軍は確かに当初のワイルドハントも博士も北方で生まれた脅威がモンドに来たが、どういうわけか先ほど。
俺がもし今回の遠征から帰れなかったら、それと俺の代わりに次の北風騎士をモンドにはいい種があるが、目を人との付き合い方を学べてない奴もいれば。
I wonder if the seed is. When he said seeds, what presumably is plural. I assume Razor is one of them, but I'm curious what the other ones
ま
are.
だ騎士になることを迷ってる奴もだ。そう見けんわけじゃないぞ。万が一。俺が帰るまでみんなのことはお前に任せた。
モンドの歴史上、北風騎士は過去に2度深刻な危機に直面している。
I find this a little weird, though. The lineage of the Knights of War, like, it makes it seem like the way Varka was when he was like he found like the wolf soul or whatever. I mean, it seemed like it wasn't really a lineage; it was just like a title, right? Like just how like she's called like the Dandelion Knight. So I just assumed that that the knight title is not a hereditary thing; it's just a a title they give to a knight, right? In which case, how does that get extinguished, right? Like you just name someone a new knight, right? Now, maybe there's some sort of like requirement, like maybe the Boreas Knights have to be able to like commune with the wolves, right? Like maybe the Boreas Knights have to be able to exhibit like wolf that like the Boreas will, like it could be that. Let's see, like so like according to what I remember from the prologue, there's the four winds. It's Venti and the four winds. Boreas is one of the winds. Dvalin was one of the winds. So it could be that to be considered one of those knights, one of the special knights, because I think they were named after the four winds. Although I guess technically it's the Dandelion Knight, so I was like maybe not. But maybe you have to exhibit a certain power. So yeah, I wonder if there's some sort of like requirement where it's like, oh no, if you're going to be the Boreas Knight, you have to be able to exhibit like a specific type of power. In which case, yeah, sure, right? I could see it being almost extinguished if it's like, oh, actually, or unless it's a school, like a school of training, right? Where it's like, oh, actually, no, like the Boreas Knight has this particular fighting style, so you can consider it like, karate or some other martial arts style, right? It could be that it's a particular style that is taught. That if Varka is the last Boreas Knight, right? If Varka's the only Boreas Knight and he's the only one who could train people in that style, although to be fair, he did just say, well, if I'm dead, please train the next one. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's not a martial arts style, because, like, how would Jean know it, right? Unless, of course, maybe there's like books or something. Maybe that explained this.
最初に北風と呼ばれた流浪の騎士は1000年前に狼の仲間と共にモンドへたどり着いた。
See, that's just so weird, right? Where it's like, wait. Well, actually, I don't know. So that's the question, right? The first Wandering Knight to claim the title arrived in Mondstadt 1,000 years ago. So is that the first time that... Like, you could interpret that two ways, right? You could interpret that as the first time the title appeared, the first Boreas Knight that ever existed was 1,000 years ago, which was taken by the Wandering Knight. Or the first Wandering Knight to claim the title, i.e., there were multiple people who claimed the title before, but 1,000 years ago, it was claimed by a Wandering Knight. You know? You could interpret it that way. So did the title first appear 1,000 years ago? Because, 1,000 years ago, along with this wolf companion, one would assume then that the title didn't exist before then. The title only exists because a Wandering Knight appeared with his wolf companion, and he became the Boreas Knight, and then since then it was passed on. Or it could be that the Boreas Knight title existed long before, and it was passed along between local Mondstadtians until finally this Wandering Knight appeared and was able to claim it because, whatever.
風のように自由なその騎士は伝承も名も残さずにモンド
And that's the kind of weird thing, right? Yeah, he left no succession plan behind. Like, why do you need to succeed? And this would kind of make more sense if he was the first one who got the title. If the title only existed 1,000 years ago because he showed up and made the title, then the rest of the sentence doesn't make sense, right? He left no succession plan behind. It's like, well, why would he need to, right? Like, if he was the first one who got the title, then why would he? If he was the first one who got the title, then he wouldn't really need to leave a succession. Like, why would no one would expect him to leave a succession plan behind? Because, like, why would anyone expect the title to be inherited, right? It's like he shows up, he does a bunch of shit. They say, "Oh my God! Like, look at you! You have a wolf companion, a wolf just like Andreas. We're gonna call you Andreas the Boreas. Andreas, it's the North Wind. We're gonna call you the Boreas Knight then. Well, then no one would expect. Oh no! Even though we just made up this title for you, we expect you to inherit. Like, we expect you to pass it down. Like, that wouldn't really make much sense, Because typically, when it comes down to like knights and shit like that, it's like, no, like you get the title that suits you, You are the Boreas Knight because of this and that. You wouldn't expect to pass along the title, right? Titles like that shouldn't be hereditary, typically, right? Usually the title is a representation of who you are as a person, or your fighting style, or some other aspect of you. So you would not expect those kind of titles to be hereditary. It's like if you're a mercenary or a knight in medieval times, if you're, if you're given a title for something, it's usually because of something you've done. And so if it's something you've done, then, it would be kind of weird to expect the title to be inherited, because it's like, well, no, it's something you've done. How could someone else inherit a title that encapsulates who you are as a person, right? Like, that makes no sense. So, So that I find weird. The only thing that would make sense is if the title was inherited before this, right? If Mondstadt always had a Boreas Knight, right? And then so it would be the latter interpretation of that previous sentence, where there were Boreas Knights before, and they had a line of succession for the Boreas Knight title, and just this one time 1,000 years ago, this title was won by a wanderer versus someone from Mondstadt, yeah. But the wanderer didn't leave a succession plan. So basically, when the wanderer was about to die or whatever, he didn't lead a clear, name a clear successor, like other Boreas Knights had maybe have previously done. Or maybe it was more hereditary. Maybe there was a family line of the Boreas Knight, which just typically took the title because they trained to inherit it. But this one time, maybe their family line was broken, or maybe this guy embodied the title more, so he got it instead. Otherwise, it wouldn't really make sense. Because it also doesn't make sense. The title of Boreas could have disappeared from Mondstadt just as he did. Why? You can give the title to anyone. Is there some sort of... Yeah, I don't know. Oh, okay. So the wolf spirit's recognition. So it could be that is the requirement. Is that you can't be called a Boreas Knight if you don't have the wolf spirit's recognition. So every Boreas Knight has to have the wolf spirit recognition, and if you don't, then you're not a Boreas Knight. Then I could understand, sure, right? If he didn't leave a clear succession plan, I didn't train someone. But it also does beg the question of then, even if he didn't have a disciple, right? At some point, someone could have gained the wolf spirit's recognition. Someone could have heard the stories of the Boreas Knight, and then intentionally tried to gain the wolf spirit's recognition, and then once he gets it, then boom, he's the new Boreas Knight. So it's if the wolf spirit is the deciding factor for what makes or does not make the Boreas Knight, then in theory it could never be lost as long as it's not lost to history, right? As long as there's always a legend of the Boreas Knight and what it takes to be one, you're gonna find up and coming knights who are gonna be I'm gonna gain recognition of the wolf spirit, and then boom, you're gonna have a new one, right? Yeah, and see, this is the weird thing, right? From then on, blah, blah, passed on to generation within the Knights of Favonius. Well, then how the fuck... if it could be that they just made sure that once it was passed down within the Knights of Favonius, that they made sure they always had a successor, right? Whereas before, it was it was mostly hereditary, sometimes not, but they weren't as fastidious about making sure there was a successor, but only once it became the Knights of Favonius that they were no, we're going to make sure we always have the successor. Oh, is that what they were? Yeah, it's been so long. I always just called him Andreas. I didn't realize. So he's not as strong as Andreas. He's just a weakened spirit. But yeah, I guess it could be that Venti, in the War of the Gods, fought with Dvalin, Boreas, and then two other gods, who are the winds, and I guess the other two are dead, and only Dvalin and Boreas survived. It seems like Dvalin actually survived with most of his power. Maybe Boreas was injured, and now he just actually, I guess he could be dead. That could be, because as I said, is the surviving spirit of an ancient god. So it could be that two of the winds were actually killed proper and are dead. Andreas was killed, but his spirit lived on, and Dvalin wasn't killed, and is still just fine, I guess.
愛を知らなかった王老は人と歩む旅路の中で愛を知り、最後にはこれは 昔のモンドで広く語り継がれた物語だ。だがその旅の始まりがモンドではなくナドクライであったことを知る者はほとんどいない。
Wait, what? The Royal Court of the Sealy? What the fuck is that?
驚いていないようだな。ナドクライですでにその痕跡を見つけていたのか。
I don't even know what the Royal Court of the Sealy is. Like, I don't remember any aspect of our Nod Cry thing even mentioning that. Like, we know that Nicole is an angel, and angels are basically Sealies. Angels became Sealies. We know that. The ancient court of the Sealies? I don't remember anything about that.
ナドクライからやってきた。自分の過去を語るのを好まないし、今では人前にもあまり姿を見せない。
Wait, so the Great Wolf King of the North, that's Andreas, right? Or do you mean the wolf spirit?
だからその記録は騎士団図書館の奥。
I mean, I guess, didn't they say... No, because, like, they say... Ah. Oh, okay, Lupus Boreas. Okay, it means the... Okay, so... Lupus Boreas must be the king, right? The wolf, the Great Wolf King of the North. That is him, Lupus Boreas. That means that... so the ancient god died before then? I guess... Venti did some shit in Nod Cry. But I guess maybe Venti had already befriended him. I don't know. I guess I kind of assumed that he was always chilling here. But if he started in Nod Cry, is that it? Well, that's the thing. It's like, obviously, if Venti befriended him back then, he wouldn't. Yeah, because he was sort of traveling with his human companion. So one would assume that his human companion was what led him finally to Mondstadt. So maybe Venti only knew him once he arrived in Mondstadt? Or maybe, I don't know, maybe he was at least aware of Venti, right? Maybe he was aware of Venti from back in the God War days. Like, maybe Andreas, I would assume, because he's a surviving spirit, I assume he was part, and he was a god himself. I assume that he was part of the God Wars, so maybe he saw Venti then, and was at least aware of Venti, and then once he finally decided to settle in Mondstadt, did he maybe meet Venti in person, and they established a friendship or whatever? But it could just be that he just popped in, settled in this land, and was just called one of the four winds, despite never actually, actively working for Venti, right? Like, one would assume, because, Dvalin, I guess Venti considers them all friends, because, he treats Dvalin as a friend, but maybe he never actually, worked with Venti directly, and he just kind of settled here and ended befriending him once he arrived. Hard to say. But yes, the Royal Court of the Sealy, I don't get this. I don't understand. I don't remember that term at all. I don't remember Nicole mentioning this at all. A Royal Court of the Sealy? What? I'm gonna definitely Google that. It's possible we've been told about it. It's possible it was offhandedly mentioned at one point, and it's been so long that I just forgot.
大団長は出発の際、具体的な標的を明かさなかった。そこで、だが、こういった噂を。
I am curious though, because there was a wolf. So I freed some wolf spirits in Nod Cry, and it brought me to this cliff. And I can interact with a sword. And when I do, a wolf spirit appears and says, "Yeah, you're not the droid I'm looking for," and moves on. And so I tried putting Razor in my party, and interacting with the sword. Nothing happened. So I don't know. Is that preparing for this? And once I do this quest, when I go there, maybe after. But that's the kind of weird thing. Just the wolf only unlocks after doing a bunch of not really world quest stuff, but the wolf only unlocks when I because I have to free 3 wolves on the map, 3 wolf spirits on the map to unlock these 3 claw marks on this building, and once all 3 are unlocked, a wolf then guides me to the final place where the sword is. But then like, it can't be related to Varka's quest because, like, that would make no sense. Because then how could the quest continue? What happens if you're a person who doesn't do overworld stuff, right? What if you just do story quests and that's it, and you haven't done any exploration? If you haven't freed the wolf spirits, then how could Varka's, quest take you to the sword and have it mean anything if you haven't already done the wolf thing? So I'm curious that maybe you have to have Varka in your team to even do anything. So like that basically is an overworld Easter egg that you can only unlock if you have Varka, which I think is a little dog shit because it's like, well then fuck, if you don't get Varka, then you can't, then you are missing this little bit of lore. But I mean, this is the world of the internet, so it's like there definitely are going to be people who are going to get Varka and go to that location. So I guess the idea is that sure, if you don't get Varka, just go online and look for it. But realistically, I don't like that idea. I don't like the idea that you have to that you can't, that there's content that you can't do because you haven't gotten a character, right? Like, I don't think that should be the way it works. You should be able to do everything in the game. Everything should be doable, And the only things that I would say that are fine not being doable are like challenging content. Like if you can't do Stygian Onslaught because your team sucks, I'm fine you not getting rewards for that. I'm fine like putting rewards behind combat challenges. But you should also design the combat challenges to be able to be cleared by free-to-play accounts, right? It shouldn't just be whale accounts. But then I'm also fine with having a difficulty mode that is for whales, right? A difficulty mode so challenging that only whales can clear it easily. Because then it allows people who are not whales, or people who choose not to whale, the opportunity. It gives non-whales the opportunity to really challenge themselves, right? Because obviously whales go in and they clear it because they're just really, really strong. But I would like it if they designed it around non-whales. So that would allow so if they allowed non-whales to because like non-whales could do it. Like basically the only thing that's like not done is like basically it's not like you haven't done Stygian Onslaught. That's weird. Let that instantly happen. It's not like you can't unlock Stygian Onslaught, right? Like Stygian Onslaught is unlocked for everybody, so it's not like you can't do the content. You can't complete the content, but that's a different thing, right? Having Varka lock story content, like so having story content, it's like, I mean, like you could argue, well, it's just one line, right? It's okay, one or two lines. If you had Varka, maybe the wolf reacts and he says this instead of that. Okay, not the end of the world, but generally, I just don't like things being locked behind shit like that, right? It should be accessible for everyone. There should be a method around it. Like, I'd be fine if maybe doing this quest, it gives you a token, and the token contains this, like a portion of the spirit of Boreas, and with that token, you can now interact with the sword, and the wolf will give you that. That'd be fine. Just don't lock content behind purchasing characters, right? Like that's kind of messed up. I think that's drawing a line that you shouldn't do as a gacha game. Everything should be accessible for everybody. Like, in the sense that everything should be unlockable by everybody. You should be able to unlock everything. But if you want to put, like, challenging combat content, that's fine, And obviously, the whole point of the gacha system and constellations and shit is to make things easier. So, obviously, the people who whale out and get C6, R5, everything, will have a much, much easier time clearing the hardest content. But I think you should still have the content that is designed for those super sweats. because then it allows people who don't have those to really show off their skills. To be like, yeah, I do have some 5 stars, but they're only C1 or C0 or C, they're only between C0 and C2, and I'm able to clear Stigny Onslaught, or hell, I was able to clear it with only 4 stars, that type of shit, right? Like, it would be really cool for people to beat the hardest content in the game with, the quote-unquote weakest characters in the game, Because that shows how skilled they are as players, how well built their characters are, how well they synergize, Because, like, obviously a lot of it is preparation, where it's like, okay, you have to pick the best pick the best characters for the team, right? Pick the characters that suit themselves the best, have them built perfectly, which, of course, is going to be really hard to do, and pretty much the people who have done that are going to be kind of like the whales who can spend tons of resin. But anyway, whatever. I mean, but at least they can do it.
君たちも東風守護のトワリンが起こした騒動を経験しているし、この懸念は分かってもらえるだろう。
なるほどな。ファルカがはっきり言わなかったのは、それを心配してのことだったのか。
ああ、君たちのナドくらいでの経験を聞く限り、大団長は当時敵の本当の状況をまだつかめていなかったと思われる。だが結局、北方で生まれた最悪は昔の魔人ではなくワイルドハントと博士だった。つまりただの考えすぎだったようだ。確かに君の言う通りだな。戦況は刻一刻と変わるもの。
Well, it's also good that they were there, right? Like, they did help us a bunch. And the fact that they were able to fight off the Wild Hunt helped the Light Bearers. So it's like the reason why we maybe had the leeway that we did is because they were assisting the Light Wardens or whatever, the Light Bearers, with their Wild Hunt, that we were able to focus on Rosher. And, I mean, and who knows, maybe Rosher would have been able to accomplish his goal faster if there weren't the Favonius Knights there to fight against them, right? Like, it could be that his progress was slowed down by the fact that he wasn't able to get the portion of himself that Flynn's had, and because his Wild Hunt was interrupted by the Knights of Favonius. Like, it could have come to a head much sooner, maybe even before we would have arrived if they weren't there. So, obviously we can't know that, It's only in hindsight that we can think maybe that's the case, but,
用意した作戦が使われなかったとしても、大団長にとってそれはきっと何よりもいいことなのだろう。話を聞いてくれ。時間があるなら。
つい長話しちゃったな。そろそろエンジェルズシェアに手紙を届けに行ってくるぞ。
Okay, cool. Now that it's kicked me out, let's, oops, didn't mean to set up enemies to teleport here. Let's do the weekly bosses. Really? Oh, fuck. I'm still matching Phil. Yeah, shouldn't sit. Whatever. Luckily, they are the character they need to be. So, yeah, you're locked in a sphere. Wait, what? I thought they're locked in a Spherina.
とお母さんがこう
世は
言って
いつも
たんだ。
雨雲とともにある。
どれだけ忙しくても
好きが
お
あれば
腹が空いたら楽しくたくさん食べなさいって。だから食べ物を何段も重ねてギュッと押しつぶして食べるのが好きなんだ。うん。
What a fucking dick. So yeah, no Varessa. So did they fix it?
寒いですか？ 夜の見回りは冷えますから、温かいスープでも作りますよ。
It's actually the... Oh, wait. If you're gonna be that, then I'll be scared. Oh, god! Fucking damn it, dudes! You gonna heal us, dude? Oh, god damn it! I tried to dodge into it. Yeah, they're like, "Oh, I'm a C6, R5 Varessa." It's like, dude, it doesn't matter. Like, this is a freeze team only fight. Like, this is a freeze team only fight. You know, like the only thing that would kind of matter would be like, oh, actually, like, we're fine because we're fine because we are able to push damage, right? If that's C5, you know, if that constellation allows us to really push damage past like a shitload of threshold and are able to like burn down the boss super fucking quick, then sure, right? We could hit that threshold and be fine, right? We could, in theory, do that, right? The problem is if we aren't able to push back that threshold, if we aren't able to burn through that thing, and the king starts charging his attack in the center of the arena, we're fucked. Like, that's the problem. Is that, like, if he does that, like, Skirk is all well and good, but she does have the problem of not having 100% uptime on her ships. So, like, when her skill's off, like, if my skill just happens to end, because, like, we can't really realistically predict when it's going to end. We can't realistically predict when the skill's going to end. Or when they're going to start charging that skill. So it's like my skill could just happen to end right as he starts to charge that, and now I can't do shit, right? Now I'm stuck, unable to do cryo, and it's like, I can't do cryo. Like, if my skill's on cooldown, I can't do cryo. You can't do anything, because if you touch it, if your electro touches anything, you'll waste a reaction on that instead of actually freezing. So it's like, you know, it's incredibly risky. So it's just incredibly risky. So you... you don't need that. Be llama, I guess. No, we didn't call him Venus. Actually, realistically, if he wants to be Flynn's, I should probably just be a healer. Yeah. Oh, he's level 60. Oh, never mind. He's not going to be Flynn's. Let's see what he swaps to. Yeah, 8 Kniches. Kniches are such a... Kniches are bitches. Kniches are just selfish assholes. It's just like, yeah, I want to be Knich. It's like, great, awesome. Does it work well with the team? Not really. I mean, to be fair, at least we have a Flynn's, right? Yeah, whatever. At least we have Flynn's. You know? At least we have a Flynn's, so it's like... Because that's the whole thing, is that you need to be able to do... Oh shit, Flynn's is almost dead. I gotta pay attention to that. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Oh, it took my energy. Shit. I had full energy. Let's top this off. Now, like the problem is you have these people who are like, oh, like Kinich would have been shit if we had another Dendro. If this dude stayed as Nefer, it wouldn't have been as good. There you go. Yeah, I knew he was low enough. We probably could have stayed out and beaten him, but yeah, that Varessa was like, I want to flex. So it's like, dude, you want to be Varessa? There, pretty much every other fight would have been fine for Varessa. Well, actually, the only other fight that would kind of be bad for Varessa is just simply the Scaramouche fight. Fighting the Wanderer as that god, not the best fight. You're fine for phase 1 and 3, but the problem is that for the constructs you can't pop them. So you're just not great at that, but as long as you have team members who can pop them, then you're fine. But generally, it's like, yeah, but it's one of those things where you're just not great at it, right? So, okay, so let's change out my food item for a sec. That could be fine, right? So yeah, it's not great simply because of that. But like, pretty much every other fight, like, dude, you want to flex your Varessa? There's so many fights where Varessa is perfectly fine. Varessa's good in this one because she can do a lot of. Actually, Varessa's not great at this one. Wait, is Varessa a catalyst? Oh no, she's a catalyst user. Never mind, doesn't matter. Okay, yes, no, she's really good at this one. Because the only caveat about this one is that you need to be able to do a lot of elemental damage. Because when he has his gauge that he needs to fill up, it only fills up when you do elemental damage, and it fills up faster when you're doing it fills up faster when you're basically, you need to be able to do a lot of elemental damage. So, Mavka is good. I mean, we could go freeze. Where's my Skirk? Oh, if you want to do that, then fuck it. Let's just go back to Mavka then. There we go. Honestly, I could have actually gone Sit Lolly instead. But, to like max out Durin. Durin can't. It depends on how he's built, right? I don't know if this guy built a good support Durin or if he built a DPS Durin. Oh wow, we actually have a smart Furina. A Furina who, the second they spawn, they heal. There we go. God damn it. We're not going to be able to pop it in time. There we go. Yeah, luckily it does damage when that happens. It's like it's like being the ad phase for the whale. So if he was already low on health, just popping that will kill him, like it just did. Nice. But yeah, it helps. It helps have people who can do elemental damage. That's why, weirdly enough, Shilinen is actually not great in this one, simply because she doesn't. Her skill lets her do geo damage, which is fine. Actually, I think she's fine against those thingies too, because they don't actually fill her gauge when they hit, because they're not considered real targets. So technically, she actually has the entire duration of her skill to do geo damage. So she's fine for that. The problem is that because she's not filling up her gauge and not hitting a real enemy, she's not getting energy. So the problem is she needs to heal on her. She heals with her burst, and so if you're not able to do like while that's going on, you have to be able to heal. Kinda. Like if you're full health and you're able to pop them quick enough, you might be fine. But the thing is, you're constantly losing health as those pillars are up. So if you don't pop them quick enough, then you will. Or if your health was low when going into it, you could die as if your healers aren't paying attention properly. So like that's the problem. I don't know why they're not queuing up for us. Like we have 4 players here. Come on, Tyler. Yeah, there you go. Jeez. Been a while. Where's me? But shield's not what we need. We need an. Oh, okay. You're gonna be that. Okay, fine. And I will be. Yeah. If you're gonna be the healer, then that's fine. I can be. Yeah. See, this is a good healer. That's the sign of a good Fiorina, when they pay attention and they heal you right away. Right? Like, good. Hello there, how's it going? It's hard to say. Like, it depends on depends on what you mean by favorite. Like, there are characters I really like because of their power, right? There's also characters I like. Oh, let's go. Oh, cool. We're able to push it. Nice. Shit. There's also characters I like because of how attractive they are. You know, like Zibai is super hot, so that's cool. Colomina is super useful, and she's pretty and cute and stuff like that. But like I like Eula a lot. I've always liked Eula and Ganyu. In fact, Eula is my avatar, and Ganyu's name card is my profile name card. So, like, I've always liked them. In fact, ooh, that's a toughie. That is a tough. I think Fontaine. I really like the music of the overworld of Fontaine, and then just the music below the water is just so peaceful and serene. I've always really liked that. So yeah, like if it comes to I level up Raiden to 100. So obviously I really like her. I like her utility. I think she's super hot. I do like the long hair and the braid. I think that's super cool. So she's the only one I've leveled to 100, even though I have enough of the thingies to level up another character to 100. But like, Navia's really pretty. Florinda's really cool. Aika's cute. I do like Ganyu. I really like her special outfit too. It's like one thing I didn't like the kind of ponytail she had as much. So I like how the little bun that they've made, and it looks very pretty in her outfit. But like Nefer is also super hot, and like Llama, well, she has huge tracts land, so Llama is also super hot. So like, it's tough. There's like a lot of, like I'd say Llama is like one of the hottest characters. See, but then also Chaska is super hot too. I like her style. They have a lot of really attractive characters. I've always liked Jean too, even though I haven't used her that much lately. But and I like Dea. I like her style. It's a shame her place, like, she's not super strong. And like Arlecchino's obviously super hot too. I mean, I like Varka, but like I just don't like her outfit. Like the whole motorcycle, like the whole motorcycle outfit is just like it makes sense because she has a motorcycle, but like I'm not a huge fan of that. But when it comes to like power and stuff, it's kind of tough. Like, even though Nefer's hot, I think she has some aspects to her power that's kind of annoying to deal with. The fact that she's like, when you're doing her attacks, you're basically like locked in place, so you're just gonna take a lot of damage. And while she might be stun resistant while her combo is literally going on, the problem is that usually what you want to do is you want to just hold down her charge attack and do 3 charge attacks in a row, just by holding down the charge attack. But the problem is that while your stun resistance is really high in the middle of the combo, in the brief milliseconds between the 2 charge attacks going off, you can be smacked out of that. So that can fuck up your combo because you get smacked as you're coming out of it, which is like really annoying. So that, and then the fact that you're just kind of like locked in place while the combo's going on. So if you don't have a healer in your party, you're kind of fucked. Not really? What about her? Oh wait, that's all my resin. I don't know, that's kind of cringeworthy. It's dad jokes level. That's almost dad joke level. No worries. I thought you were gonna say. I thought you were gonna actually say something serious, like, "Oh, hey, maybe there's some bit of lore I'm not aware of." Like, nope. Okay, so let's see. I need to find the shop. Where's the shop? Ah, damn. Yeah, I forgot to come back in here, and I don't have any tokens. I wasted some time and didn't come back in. I don't have all the tokens I should have. Yeah. So I just kind of get the characters I want and I like and that are hot. That's why I don't have. Oops. That's why I don't have most of the guy characters. Some of the only guy characters, the only 5-star guy characters that I actually got were the ones in the very beginning of the game, because it's still a day away. Because I just needed like more characters on my account, so I was like, well, shit, I need more characters. So I have Child and Zhongli and Venti and Kazuha, but I think Kazuha is the newest male character I have. All the other ones, I'm like, nope, no more of that. I think Kazuha is. Archive. Let's see, who's... Yeah, Tignori doesn't count because I didn't actually pull on him. I only got him as part of this losing 50-50. So technically I got him, even though I didn't actually like intentionally pull for him. But yeah, so Venti I actually pulled for, Zhongli I actually pulled for, Child I actually pulled for. Although the only reason I kind of was pulling on Child is because I actually wanted Diona. And so I just got Child as part of that. And I kind of regret that. Especially like now, I'm like, God damn it, like I really regret having Child. Like I just don't want him. Like I just rarely use him. He just is underwhelming. Every time I use him in Imaginarium, he just seems so weak. So I'm like, eh. But then yeah, no other male character, no other male 5-star. Obviously, like you just get these if you're pulling for other. The 4-stars you just naturally get even if you don't want them. Oh no, Durin. I don't actually know. Well, okay, so I didn't pull for Durin though. I forgot what I was doing. I think I was pulling for a 4-star. Oh, that was it. I was pulling for Jehoda. I wanted Jehoda, and I accidentally got Durin. Like he was like he was an early pull where he was like, oh, whoops. Like, he was like only like 20 or 30 pulls in and it got a 5-star. And I'm like, oh, well, please, like, miss my 50-50 so I can guarantee my next one. But it was Durin. Which, you know, he's strong and useful, so like I don't hate that, but he definitely wasn't intentional. I just wanted at least one constellation. Not a constellation, I just wanted to get a Jehoda. Because the way I like to play the game is I want to... Yeah, 12-4, right? Yeah, 12-4. Yeah, the way I play the game is like I want to get them so I can start building them, and then like just let the constellations come in over time as I pull on other characters. But because the thing is, like, what happens if you ever need to use a Jehoda, and you're like, or like a Jehoda works out well in the team. So I like to have a breadth of characters, especially the 4-stars, which you can get, and usually it's enough to like just pull on the characters you want. But sometimes, so but yeah, most of the time I'm just looking for the hot characters, except you. That's my main goal. But yeah, like, I mean, Eula's been my avatar since I got her. I really like her style. She is super hot. Oh, that's weird. I've seen that one before. I don't know why it keeps popping up as new. And then Ganyu's friendship level 10 name card is my name card. So I've used that for a long time. I really like Ganyu, and I really like Eula. And in fact, I still have remnants of my exploration team. Like, back in the day, this is the team I used to explore stuff. Because I had my Jean to heal, I had my Ganyu to kill random mobs, I had my Eula to destroy a rock or two if I needed to mine something, and I had Zhongli if there's a big pile of rocks nearby, but also providing a shield so that Eula can do her magic. So this is the team I used to explore all around, like when Liyue came out, when Inazuma came out. Although Jean wasn't great for Inazuma, because there were some times where you needed to heal out of combat, and only her burst heals. But, yeah, this was the team I used for exploration for a lot. But then, and this is my friendship team. This is the team I do my dailies with, so that my Zebai and Aluga can get friendship levels. But then I think for Natlan, I used this team for a bit. Even, I think I might have used this team in Nodcry for a little bit, too. I do try to swap out teams as well to shake things up. And I actually tried to use this team, but the problem is there are Dendro enemies in Nodcry that are completely immune to Dendro, so it's like, fuck. So if you come across them with a team like this, you're just screwed. You just can't do anything about them, because like all of your damage from this is from Dendro. So basically I've been using this team a lot in Nodcry, because one, it provides me a shitload of mobility options, and two, I don't think there are that many fire-immune enemies, so Mavuka's always useful. Shillanen is just Geo and reduces resistance. There are some enemies that are immune to Cryo in Nodcry, but Mavuka can kill those, and Chaska, yeah, sure, one of her bullets, any bullet that she uses of Cryo is going to be bad, but she has 3 Animo bullets, and we'll also stock some Mavuka bullets too, so she'll be useful. So basically this team is fine for everything in Nodcry. This is a fun team too. This is actually a surprising team. So there was one overworld boss where it was for the Valiant Chronicles, and it was like, oh, when it's the Aranaro like one, when it splits into lots of forms and shit, you have to be able to kill all the little forms at once. And I think I had a different team. I forget which team I had, but the problem is like all my attacks, like the little guys were so light, every single one of my attacks would smack them around. And so it was really hard to kill them all. Even though they didn't take that long to die, it was just hard to get them all quickly. So I created this team just to do that fight, and it actually like destroyed them. Like, it was insanely powerful. It was crazy how strong it was. I was very impressed, because obviously like it was revolving around Venti. I wanted Venti's burst to suck them all up. Perfect, right? And then Raiden can do her. Raiden can have her skill active at all times. So once they're all sucked up in Venti's thing, they'll activate Raiden's lightning attack, so Swirl Lightning. Columbina will trigger the lunar charge. And then I also threw in Albedo, because like that was the other thing too that was great with Venti and Albedo, just the pairing before, is that anytime they get attacked by Venti, they would trigger Albedo's skill, and Albedo's skill is an AoE in and of itself. So if enemies are close enough to each other, hitting one enemy and triggering the skill could also hit adjacent enemies. But with Venti sucking them all in super close, Albedo's skill hits every enemy within Venti's swirl. And then of course once we have the lunar crystallize as well on top of that, it just becomes insanely good AoE sit. So I was able to absolutely destroy that boss with this team, and I even actually did it for the elite mob that you have to kill to ascend Zebai, I think. Using this team was also super good too. It's a really good team, especially because of Albedo's rework. Albedo's rework made him stronger, and then the Hexarai buffs made him even better. Or actually, no, maybe that was his rework. His rework was just the Hexarai buffs. But yeah, the Hexarai buffs... Actually, no, they did rework his skill, I think. Even without the Hexarai buffs, I think his skill is stronger. Because his flower can no longer be destroyed. Or, even if it is destroyed, he summons two, basically. Once you summon the flower, it also summons a silver isotoma. Actually, wait. Is that part of the Hexarai buff, or is that part of just his kit from now on? I'm actually not sure. Forget. Let's see, his talent, right? What's the Hexarai buff? Okay, blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay, so it is the Hexarai buff. Never mind. Okay. But yeah, so the Hexarai buff makes it so that his silver... Basically, even if his flower gets destroyed, when he hits with his elemental skill within 20 seconds, which obviously happens super easily, you plop his skill down, even if the first hit doesn't count. So even if the AoE, even if the geo damage that hits when he deploys his skill doesn't count, the next hit is going to trigger the skill and gets a silver isotoma. Which can then continue using his skill. Because that was one of his biggest issues, is that he puts down his skill, and then enemies that do AoE attacks would destroy it. And now his skill is gone. And even though the cooldown for it is really low, so you could just bring him back on. Like, the skill cooldown is 4 seconds, right? So even if they do destroy it, you could just swap back to him and put it back on. But the problem is it gets destroyed way too easily. And so that's kind of like the problem for it, is that it just gets destroyed too easily. And so that's what this buff fixed, is that now the silver isotoma is immune to damage. So now the silver isotoma is immune to damage. So even if you destroy even if you destroy the solar isotoma, the silver one's still there and able to continue triggering transient blossoms. So you're not too fucked over because of that. It's the same reason with like lunar crystallize. Those lunar constructs that appear for lunar crystallize are also immune to damage. Because that's what made Chiori so good. And why Chiori was just a direct upgrade to Albedo at the time is because of 2 reasons. One, her constructs were immune from damage. So you put them on the field and they do the same thing as Albedo, where they just do damage regularly when you're doing damage to enemies. But then it would also be immune. And then she had the added bonus that if you had another Geo construct, or maybe just another construct in general, she would summon 2 instead of 1, so that's doubling their damage. Whereas Albedo didn't have that. Now with the Hexarai buff, technically he does. If the Solar Isotoma doesn't get destroyed, at least then you'll have both Solar and Silver up. So it was definitely super, super useful. And then the other thing is that the other problem Albedo had was that his, as you can see, skill damage for his skill is attack-based. His Blossom damage is defense-based. But his burst damage, his ultimate damage, is attack-based. So he scales off of both attack and defense. So you either boost his attack so that his burst does the most damage, but his transient blossom damage will be less, or you scale him on defense so that his defense damage his transient blossom damage is a lot, but his skill damage would suffer. But then they had a constellation, whereas Constellation 2 basically says, hey, basically, we give you these little tokens on your back that will increase your burst damage based off your defense. So now you have to get him to C2. You have to get him. Oh wow, increase his defense by 50%. That's super useful. But you have to get him to C2 so that you could make his burst now scale off his defense slightly. So it's like that. Then it kind of made. Then it gave you very good reason to just focus on defense. And then you had his perfect defense weapon too, where it's like his elemental skill damage increases even more based off his defense, which is great if you scale him on defense. And I did. 2,300 defense is not actually the best, really. Oh, because I went geo damage for this. Yeah, if I went defense percent, maybe that would have been better. But also, you want him to actually do some damage too. So his crit rate's not amazing. Has decent crit damage though. And then, yeah, I mean they went crit rate for this. Geo damage, most people want geo damage defense percent, obviously. Actually, wait, shit, does he not have a set? Oh, shit! I actually don't have a proper. I don't have a proper set for him. I need to actually swap to this set completely. Yeah, fuck. Yeah, I need this full set. I've been kind of going half-ass on it. Whatever. So I need to farm for a little bit. But basically, and then so with the Hexorite buff, it was like, oh, cool. Now, one of the things that Shiori did better with which was indestructible constructs. Now, Albedo also has that. His Silver Isotoma can continue doing that. So now you no longer have to continuously bring him on field to recreate his thing. Also, there were some areas that you couldn't summon your Solar Isotoma. Like if you're fighting the Oceanid between Mondstadt and Liyue, you couldn't summon his Solar Isotomas on the watery field. They would instantly get destroyed. So he couldn't be used there. So that was kind of annoying. So this is really cool because now you have an indestructible thing. And as you can see, it also buffs party members. So it increases their normal attack, charge attack, plunging attack, elemental skill, and skill and burst damage by a percentage of his defense, obviously. So realistically, I really need to get him up to 3,000 defense so that I can get the max bonus. And then for Hexorite characters as well, it also boosts them a bit. So that was super useful. And as you can see from his thing, if there's still more Isotoma, damage dealt will also be increased, right? By initial increased damage based on his defense. So it's like, it definitely revamped him a lot. Now, obviously, he works best with lots of Hexorite characters together. Because he boosts the Hexorite character. He has a special buff. There's the generic buff for everyone based on his defense, but there's also a separate Silver Isotoma. So creating a Solar Isotoma creates a buff for everyone. Creating the Silver, which all happens every single time, increases Hexorite characters specifically. So obviously having more Hexorite characters in the same team benefits that. But either way, this really, really helps him. Now, the only caveat is you don't get those buffs unless you have another Hexorite character, so you have to have at least one other one, which, can be the challenge sometimes, but not the hardest thing in the world to do. As you saw, I put him on a team with Venti, and it works incredibly well. And the cool thing is that it's like, Venti is obviously a character that came out on 1.0. When 1.0, he was the first banner character. And he's basically kind of like, he had his utility for being able to propel you upwards, and that was kind of like what he was known for. It was like, oh no, yeah, he can just boost you upwards, and that's why you'd play him. You'd play him just for that. You'd play him. Oops. you'd play him just for exploration. That's why everyone's like, oh my god, Venti's so amazing. He can, like, burst you upwards, and it makes exploration easier because you can get a head start. You can just get on a ledge and have Venti use a skill, and you can just glide upwards. And so he was really, really helpful because of that. And his burst was really good. Like, it's the best CC in the game because it would suck up little enemies. So basically, all the little enemies would get sucked up into it. The only problem is it just didn't affect big enemies, which is like, oh shit, that sucks. It didn't affect big enemies. Okay, and then let's do this one. And then just the fact that his constellations mostly seem to help. Like, his first constellation was like, oh hey, cool, his charge attack does three arrows instead of one. But it's like, yeah, but like, as we see basically every Animo character afterwards, except for Zhao, pretty much all Animo characters were relegated to the support role, where you just give them the Viridescent Venerer set, and their only purpose is just to swirl so that they reduce the resistance from whatever you swirl with. Like, that is their purpose. Their purpose is just to be there and to be a swirl machine and to be a Viridescent Venerer buff applier. Like, that's their only purpose. That was it. So it's like, oh, okay. Like, that's fine. But like, he had some constellations. In fact, that's kind of what happened. That happened a lot in early for the 1.0 characters, is that a lot of the characters had kind of like a mix of buffs. So they had, some characters had buffs to their damage, their personal damage. Like Mona's constellations were like, a lot of them were kind of improving her personal damage. Like at least 2 or 3 of them improved her personal damage, but you're just like, I don't want to improve her personal damage. You know, like she's there just to apply her burst and to like ramp up. She's there just to apply her burst and to ramp up her and ramp up their damage. Like that's it. She's not there for personal damage. You're not doing, and so like her constellations just made no sense because of that. And so that was kind of a weird thing that they did with her. And same for Venti. Venti had a few DPS options for his damage, for his constellations. I'm like, why? Like his main purpose is to CC the enemies, to apply the Viridescent Venerer resistance shred debuff, so that other characters could do more damage. He's a support, not a DPS. So it was kind of weird where hit like two of his like 4 constellations were DPS related. Like his first one was like, oh cool, his charge shot does 3 charge shots instead of 1. But like, well, you should not be using Venti's charge shot at all. Like, you should be doing his skill, then you should be doing his burst, then you should be getting the fuck off the field, and only bring him back when you want to do his skill and burst again. Like that's it. Like that's pretty much how all Animo supports were treated. Like you do their skills, you do their burst, and you get them off. You know, only Zhao was like the first DPS, and even he would stay on the field, but he was also kind of annoying. No one would want him, and there just weren't that many Animo DPS. Only one. It took over a year for Wanderer appeared, the second Animo DPS. But generally, most Animo, like with a few exceptions, most Animo characters were just supports. They were there to just equip the Viridescent Venerer set, so that their swirls would reduce the resistance for Animo and whatever they swirled with, which increases Animo damage that they do, as well as any other Animo DPS characters, if there were any. But also, like, you know, the element of your main character. You throw an Animo in with an Electro team, boom, now your Electro DPS do more damage because you swirled and the resistance to Electro is low, right? That's the purpose of them. So having Venti with DPS constellations made no sense. And even with the Hexarai buffs, I was surprised that they actually kind of go even harder into his DPS mode. So it's like, oh, they're making him even stronger, making his DPS even more, which is like, that's kind of weird. Because like he was always kind of a support to begin with, but I guess maybe they realized, oh, well, support is already like perfect. They don't really need to, there's nothing really to improve with support, so they decided, fuck it, let's just improve his personal damage then. Either way, he still has his uses. And I definitely do use him in Imaginarium Theater when he's available. So, like, he's definitely one of the 1.0 characters that I use the most, simply because he has a lot of utility in Imaginarium Theater. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and call it. I've been walking for over an hour, so I'm going to go ahead and call it now. But thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.